Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Brendan McQuillan, McQuillan. I'm an attorney, and I am strongly opposed to this bill, though I am pro a regulatory model, and I am pro, if the right amendments can be passed, supporting this bill, but I can't at this particular time. The problem is that there are far too many workability issues. I'm not going to be able to advise any form of client who would seek to work under this model effectively because it puts all of them at risk of ultimately criminal acts. The first is, I don't believe that almost any doctor is going to be willing under this model to subject themselves to the regulations. If you recommend more than 25 patients, you're subject to review. That's going to have an enormous chilling effect on many doctors who would want to do this. The board review also would have that same chilling effect, though board review to further research and develop what uses for medical marijuana are appropriate is very intelligent. Having to have two physicians for youth or for chronic pain people is also going to be unworkable. In a world where healthcare costs are absolutely out of control, I don't know how your average citizen in Montana is going to be able to afford to go to their doctor 4 times in a 6-month period, and if they have to go to 2 doctors, would that mean 8 times in a 6-month period? It's absolutely unaffordable and unworkable. The problem of this bill being unworkable is that it has such a chilling effect and an unintended consequence of completely subverting the will of the voters. If you have an unworkable bill and no one will engage in the process of becoming a therapeutic user or provider, then the repeal has won, and the intent of the voters to supply quality medicine to deserving patients has been subverted. And that's an unintended, if not intended, consequence of an unworkable bill. Second, everything the Public Service Commission has articulated regarding their workability. All of the changes they recommend would be necessary to avoid enormous quantities of lawsuits. Secondly, I have a really difficult time understanding how, under our Constitution and our right to pursue health, people who are felons or people who simply receive DUI convictions or have very old drug offenses are not treated absolutely inequitably and unfairly under the law. As a public defender prior, I'm no longer now, I represented many veterans who fought for our country, who hurt themselves for our country, and need medical marijuana. They were on medical marijuana. Because of their mental health conditions, because of post-traumatic stress disorder, they often went opposed to the law and became felons. Because of their status as a felon, they're going to be denied a therapeutic use that they absolutely need. One thing that the Public Service Commission did not address, I believe, was that in order for them to act under many aspects of this law, the Senate would be giving them authority, but without the necessary specificity. There has to be specificity before the legislature can delegate a legislative function. So I find that very difficult to find. As far as how I would advise someone regarding the nonprofit model, it's incredibly vague under this statute. I've studied federal nonprofit law and the Montana Code regarding it, and this bill does not speak to that, and it further complicates the issue so that I wouldn't know how to advise a treatment provider to actually work under this bill, because they'd probably run askew of some aspect of the reporting requirements for their income and ultimately be labeled criminals because of that. I also have issue that it's very potentially unconstitutional to ban all advertising, because these organizations and providers at least have a right to make their name known to the public in some form. This bill would not allow them to let users know that they exist. So I don't know how we're going to coordinate the providers and the actual users without that, and it's frankly a violation of free speech. Because of the needlessly complicated nature of this bill, because of the over-regulation and the lack of specificity and the over-vagueness, it's unworkable, and then, in effect, those who are for repeal have won, and those who would support the will of the voters to at least give a necessary therapeutic medicine to people who need it has been subverted, intentionally or unintentionally. So I ask that these issues be addressed and the issues of the Public Service Commission, and then I would support the bill. Thank you.